Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the webinar live talk session, interview session on supply chain talk. We have been away for quite a while, but we are back. And we are honored today to have one of the young leaders in supply chain. We will be shortly being joined by Deputy Governor of Saudi Customs, who is uh, uh, a young leader supply chain in from Saudi Arabia, and let me welcome him to the session. Welcome, Mr. Loay. Welcome to Supply Chain Talks. We are honored to have you here joining us in our session. So, a few words before we start off from you.
Thank you for referring me several times as young. I am forever young, inshallah. I just bought my midlife crisis motorbike. So just to keep the heart young, inshallah. Very happy to be with you. Looking forward to it and looking forward to actually engage with the listeners and hear their questions. We take every opportunity to reach out to our partners in the private sector and in the logistics sector. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, without any further delay on this, I would like to start off very simply by asking you. The listeners would definitely love to know who is Mr. Loay, who is Loay, and your journey within supply chain. How did you start? How did you start your journey, and how did you end up in Saudi Customs as well? Your journey, please.
Well, I'm an engineer at heart, so I've graduated as a petroleum engineer with the Aramco program. I've worked as a petroleum production engineer all across the far sides of this country for about 8 years. And then I joined the private sector in the Eastern Province in the oil and gas, logistics and operations services sector. And this was my first introduction into proper logistics, and we were doing, in addition to the operations and what have you, a lot of logistics for Schlumberger, Halliburton, these oil and gas big kahunas. And then we have I've moved to I got my MBA from London Business School, and moved back to Jeddah after 19 years away on different parts of the country. When I joined Jeddah, I went to be the general manager of what was then called ISNAD, which is the operating arm of the bonded zone at Jeddah Islamic Port. I joined the company in an interesting time. It was going through a merger with what was then called Tasdeer, and they formed Logy Point at that time. And this was my first proper introduction into the cross-border movement of goods. Logy Point works, in LCL, FCL, import, export, and re-export, and what have you, all sorts of operations.
Yes.
And partnerships across border. And back then, it was the first time I met His Excellency the Governor, as we were launching several services for special companies such as Nestle, and he was visiting. And I was presenting to him at the moment, and this was the first time we met. Not too late after that, his office reached out to me. He was looking for young Saudis who understand the movement of a cargo across border. But also at that time, I got an offer from the Public Investment Fund, one of its companies. That was an interesting twist. I've spent about 8 months on an unannounced project, meeting on monthly basis with His Royal Highness, presenting the progress of the project, and working 24/7 pretty much for 8 months. The project was approved, the company was formed, but it wasn't in any major city, so I elected not to travel away from big cities. Once the word got out that I am available in the market, His Excellency called me personally, and I couldn't say no. It was a very interesting file. We met about 3-4 times until we agreed on what success looks like, what we were looking for. And since a year and a half now, I've been with Saudi Customs, mainly in charge of the transformation effort in planning and development. I've done a short stunt in the GRC, governance, risk and compliance, particularly around the Corona time. We had to beef up the operations there. And at the moment, I'm also acting deputy on IT, which is a massive ordeal, but I am enjoying it.
Actually, we'll be touching on the IT part of it because Saudi customs, when I started talking to people in my circle within the supply chain fraternity, and I was telling them, tell me what questions, what do you want to ask from Saudi customs? Everybody, the general consensus was that, over the last few months or a few years, Saudi customs have gone through a complete transformation, and they are more into the digitization. They're leading it. So we will come to that. And good thing to know is that, mashallah, I enjoy people who are engineers and I in supply chain like me. I am also an engineer who, luckily ended up in supply chain and enjoying my time big time. And as you mentioned about LogiPoint, I had the honor of sitting down with the current CEO of LogiPoint as well. We had a live talk session with him as well, and I also was able to talk to one of your a person who looks up to you. His name is Sohaib Warsi. He used to work with you in LogiPoint. Yes.
Yes.
See, very it's nice. A small world.
Yes.
Actually, now he is in the same role I used to be. I was head of supply chain for Sherwin-Williams. Now, mashallah, he is the head of supply chain for Sherwin-Williams.
Mashallah. Excellent guy.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely. So now coming to, you told us about your current role and responsibility in Saudi customs. Now, again, a little bit more detail about that. As deputy governor, what are your main tasks? What are you leading in, so that our audience can more understand your role in Saudi customs? Because you talk about development and then IT as well. So a little bit brief about that.
Yeah, listen. So when His Excellency Hagbani was first moved into office back in 2017, Saudi customs altogether had only one email. There were no ERP systems. Everything was done by paper. And he was asked to clear goods in less than 24 hours. The average before that was 8 days. So it was a massive task. The guys have done a great job at doing the best they can. They have reached the 24-hour mark. Some of it was shaky. So my ask number one from His Excellency as I joined is to make sure the 24-hour is sustainable way after we leave. And then the bar where it was raised was, and we've agreed that before the end of 2021, and you can quote me on that, not a single shipment will take more than 2 hours for clearance. So 2 hours will not be the average, 2 hours will be the maximum. Obviously, with the exception, if it is flagged by the X-ray or flagged by the targeting center, this will take a little bit longer. So a big part of what I've been doing over the past year and a half was working towards that end. Also, my deputyship looks after the organization excellence. And, one of the biggest challenges we've had is that different ports acted differently, understood regulations differently. So having streamlined the processes, the policies, the procedures, and then instilling in place systems that are stronger than people. Even if people move, the systems are so robust that they can still operate properly. So that's task number 2. Number 3, I'm in charge of the strategy department, which looks after making sure we have KPIs set up on all departments. And these KPIs are leading to the overall objectives of the organization, but also aligning Saudi customs goals with the vision goals. And customs is very interesting because we touch base on many of the vision goals. We are in charge of about 20% of the non-oil revenue generated to this country. So non-oil revenue initiatives, we're very much close to it. We're in charge of a massive security requirement, and we're not living in okay times. We've got foul players and enemies nearby all across, and the numbers have shown that these activities are increasing with time. And we are an integral part of making this an international logistics hub, Saudi Arabia. So all these three different main objectives, they sometimes contradict, by the way. Our job was to make sure we balance those the right way as well. And the final department I was looking after was change management, or we've called it nudge and nudge unit, because a big part of succeeding in making all of these changes that are happening on the ground sustainable is to develop the people and change the culture really of the employees, 10,500 employees, from being just risk averse or security based into a customer service, while not jeopardizing any safety and security measures. So these are mainly the different areas that we look after. In addition, the project management office of Saudi Customs lays within my deputyship, and they are in charge of about 2 billion riyals a year worth of projects across IT, engineering, and what have you, to make sure they're happening on time, deliveries, and the benefit realization afterwards.
MashaAllah, that's an impressive portfolio. And I have noted it down, as you said, that I can quote you later, that by end of 2021, less than 2 hours. And to be honest, actually, just yesterday, I was in a call with someone who is based out of UAE, and they have done the complete digitization, or at least they have developed the whole systems for Dubai Customs as well. So I was talking to them, and I was fortunate enough to even interact. I know that technology, the 2 hours window, the transformation that is happening. I mean, also had the privilege of talking to the company who is supporting Saudi Customs right now as well on the cross-border digitization. I believe that is a TIR system, which is happening right now as well.
We've got, I can tell you, we have 65 IT projects running right now. So TIR is one, but there are plenty more across multiple spectrums.
Okay, perfect. So we will now come, we would like, appreciate that, if you can shed more light on it, that, as you said, the infrastructure, the project management, the IT, and the change management. So again, now technology is a big part. And I do remember, yes, it was a very tedious task to get shipments out of Saudi Customs. There was a time that, from the manual, it became to uploading of the documents onto the system, so that, at least the customs process initiates before the physical documents are submitted. Now you're talking about the 2 hour window. So how has technology actually, your experience, how has technology helped you in all of that? If you can help us understand the journey.
Excellent. Listen, I will not give you the politically correct answer. I'll give you the straight answer with regards to technology transformation within Saudi Customs. The core system of Saudi Customs for the declaration management system is based on Oracle 6. And anyone who's from an IT background understand that this is a legacy system, very difficult to maintain. Another strategic mistake that took place across the past few decades is that a lot of the changes and requirements were hard-coded into the system, which meant every time we tried to improve, we had to spend a lot of time trying to untangle this web of code and try to fix it. This is why the transformation took time, because we had to slowly but surely, without interrupting the services, untangle parts of that legacy system and move it into a more robust and friendly system. So whatever we could migrate out of Oracle 6, out of the declaration management system, we did. About 15 systems were taken out from that already. As far as the declaration management system itself, we have already migrated 25% of the Oracle 6 out. Another 50% are planned in the next year, so 2021, and the remaining, inshallah, 25 will happen after. Is it critical? Absolutely crucial. Now, fundamental change number one when I joined is that trying to fix 42 ports and making all of them work with the same policy, with the same understanding, with the same quality was extremely difficult. So what we have decided is to establish a central clearance house here in Riyadh that already operates today. 25 ports have been migrated into it, and the remaining will all be migrated in the next 10 days, or a couple will trickle down to January. Everything regarding handling the declaration will no longer happen at the port by port level. And if anyone is in Jeddah right now, in the next 1 week, you will see what we call Majmu'at al-Jumrukiyya. The customs officers will no longer handle any declarations anymore. They have all moved into that. This means much faster processing. This means one robust policy that everyone follows, quality management much better, no interaction between people and the brokers or the merchants, which allows for collusion or wrongdoing, but also means we need to have a robust business continuity, ITDR, IT disaster recovery system that can manage if this goes down, what happens. So in parallel, we were working on that. Having said all that, I firmly do not believe that IT is the answer to all our problems. A lot of it is based on changing the process from inspecting 100% of cargo. We want to reach down to 5%, and this happens gradually as we beef up our targeting center, which gathers data from all sorts of sources that you wouldn't even imagine: private sector, public sector, available information online. And some countries, we've actually kind of forced them to send us information ahead of time because of all of the previous history we've had with certain ports and what have you, to come up with eliminating the need of manual inspection. We've already reduced it from 100% to 45% this year, and by the end of next year, less than 20%. This did not happen because of technology. We've used technology as the risk-based system, but again, the culture change and the process change was crucial. And let me elaborate on another challenge with IT that are my biggest challenge next year, since we're talking about IT. Customs is not in charge of all clearance. There are 29 different entities that clear. SFDA, SASO, Ministry for Agriculture. They give us regulation, and in many cases, they ask that they have to approve. They don't even delegate that power to Saudi Customs, which meant we're beefing up our operations. We're working 24/7 in this unified central clearance house and what have you, but we still have to send them letters. We still have to wait for their approvals and what have you. And we've tried to connect to their systems, and we've succeeded to connect to 33% of the 29. So about 10 of the 29 entities have tied into our declaration management system. The rest couldn't. And it was such a difficult ask from IT to tie all these different government entities to Saudi customs system. And so alternatively, what we've worked on last year was agree on 2 levels of relationship between us and the other government agencies. One is we've created an API. Those who are familiar with IT will understand this, but like a formal or unified way to connect to us. They can either adjust to that, or they can come and work with us. And we have created offices in our customs clearance house for the entities that could not connect to us technically, and they can clear with us, and we all have one goal of 2-hour maximum for the clearance. So IT absolutely at the core of the transformation, but it is one pillar, and there is HR development, there is process enhancement along with it.
Good. This is awesome. Actually, I knew that there are many departments and ministries which are involved, but the number 29 was never known to me. So this is a good learning for me that so many divisions or arms of government are involved in, bringing in the goods and all. You are correct that IT is not the only thing. As you mentioned that with the other departments who are unable to digitally integrate, or on an IT level, you have basically broken down the walls, you removed the silos, and you have asked them that all of you guys can work under the same roof with the simple objective of customer-centric approach. So I hope I understood it correctly. I tried to, summarize it to the best of my understanding. But having said that, because you mentioned in your role that performance measurement is one of your key areas. So how is it, or what are the changes, or what have you done to track the performance management, not just of the individual, but of the systems or the processes that you are now bringing in place? How are you measuring it, and how are you sure that the results which are coming out are the best result? And if they are not, then how can they be improved then?
Excellent. So there is two folds to this answer. So the mechanical answer is we've created about 15 board KPIs that are monitored by our board of directors, about 30-something strategic KPIs, and 180 operational KPIs, and ports themselves about 300 KPIs. All the way from the cleanliness from the office, to the availability of power, to the speed of declaration, to the training of the K9 units. It's across all departments. This was established. This is monitored quarterly by the executive committee, head by His Excellency the Governor. It's usually a 5-6 hour meeting. We go one by one and we analyze good performance, and we analyze why. Bad performance, we analyze why. We've got KPIs without targets, but we monitor them just for the sake of analyzing and understanding the trends. When you increase VAT, what will this mean for the trying to smuggle stuff across travelers? When you the excise tax on tobacco, this also led to different numbers from different ports, and so on and so forth. So we monitor all of that. About 40% of those KPIs are within the business intelligence system, Tableau. So they are monitored continuously, actually, not quarter by quarter. And the remaining 55 are not in the system. Some are validated easily, and some will actually still rely on manual input from people that we cannot validate. This is a robust process that we have created, and there is the monitoring of it. So that is one fold of the answer. Now, the other fold, which excites me a little bit, there are two ways of doing this, actually. We've got the brains, the strategy management office, high caliber people, very smart, very familiar with this language. They could be the ones driving the analytics. They could be the ones driving the numbers. They could be the ones extracting the numbers. This would be a much faster way to get quick results, but not necessarily sustainable. So a big element using the change management department we had was to force ourselves that the individual at the end of the chain, the lowest in the organization as far as hierarchy is concerned, is engaged in the performance management system. This led to a massively difficult task of gathering the data and making sure the quality is high. But as I told my team, and I firmly believe this, if we work hard on teaching individuals to be thinking about KPIs, this impacting their actual appraisals, having to analyze and give poor answers the first few times, and then they realize, you know what, I have to think about this properly, is much more sustainable. And that is another thing we take upon ourselves as we develop the strategy for Saudi customs.
Perfect. You're right that I especially like the second part, that everyone in an organization should know and should understand their impact into the organization and how their performance is fueling the whole organization. So if that is being trickled down to the lowest level hierarchy wise, then that is a sign of the positive development and a positive forward thinking. Now coming to I understand that all of these things are part of also they all complement the Vision 2030 as well. And one very important thing that was is being led under the Vision 2030 is to remove the topic of corruption and malpractices from the system altogether. And unfortunately, imports and exports is an area where people unfortunately try to undercut, under invoice, or to incorrect declarations, and try to beat the system. So my question for you is that what are the mechanisms in place, how you are coping with that, how you are ensuring that this is rooted out completely?
But this is a very good question. Now, let's be clear. Although there are many incidences where people do not follow procedure, sometimes as favors to their friends or family or what have you, a lot of these people are not bad people. So yes, we've got those bad apples that take money and try to smuggle stuff. This exists, and we fight that. But the more prevalent form of collusion or malpractice was done on low-level stuff as a favor to a friend or someone you meet and what have you. And this was actually a very long and heated discussion within our organization. We've got the approach of investigations and more cameras and more, each inspector has another inspector with him, and there are systems to help with that. But also, one of the things that we've worked on, as we are moving all declaration management system away from the port level to a central location where there is no interaction on a personal level between the officer and the importer or the broker that he meets every day, and they get to know each other and so on and so forth, you remove that. And we're, as Arabs in general, we're very shy people. If someone we see every day and he knows us and he says, man, I'm in a hurry, my client is upset, we need to get this done, you might just sign for him because you trust the guy. So removing all of that, and in the central clearance house, no one knows which port is he going to deal with. This declaration might deal with a port in Jeddah. The very next declaration is a port in Riyadh. So you remove that element. And there are so many small tricks like that that can help eliminate the potential for a collusion or malpractice without the need of punishments and what have you. So in the system, and another example of that, particularly on the land border side, we made in the new system that everyone going in and going out is inspected, and if it's a customs employee, there is a special process to inspect him even more that you have to follow, just to remove to everyone working at the border, whether it's customs or passport officer or all the employees that are usually immune to this inspection because they're employees of that facility. They now receive more inspection as they go in and go out. And if it's done across everybody, so everyone just understands that they don't want to be embarrassed in front of their colleagues over small stuff and what have you. So many things like that combined support. Another thing we're very proud of, actually, if you look at our seizures, in 2019, they're more than 10 times 2018. Our seizures in 2020 so far, despite Corona, are even more than 2019. We have built a really robust intelligence system in coordination with different government entities that in many cases we clear cargo that we know has issues in many cases. And even customs employee does not know this, but the intelligence department within the system can make it pass quickly, and then they follow the cargo until we capture the actual receivers. We've done this so many times this year. We've actually done one very interesting case that came in from Jordan through Saudi Arabia, and we were following it with drones and what have you. We were following it very closely, and it went into the UAE. And we've called our partners in the UAE, and they continued to follow the shipment. And we caught the drug dealers in Sharjah in the UAE. This was not the case in the past. It was very rare that we actually do this. Now it is the common practice that we do this. So we're very happy about that.
So, mashallah, this is action, live actions that is happening.
Yeah, and we actually
This is
publish this usually in videos. If you've seen some of our videos, they look like a Mad Max scene, right? And it's really exciting. It makes us happy and proud to do such a critical role for customers.
perfect. This is, I like how you handle that. You talked about what is happening within the customs as well. But I on the same topic, I would like for you to also touch that on the organization side, that the companies, who are the mechanisms, how to stop the companies, or how you are catching them, or what are the penalties that if someone is doing something incorrect declarations or something, they are trying to bring wrong items by declaring it incorrectly, trying to fool if I would say that the Saudi customs, and they think that they are smarter than them. So what are the mechanisms to handle the corporations, the corporates?
Yes. So it's twofold to this answer as well. Now, we've created the authorized economic operator system or program where we actually go and audit the company and look at their supply chain process, look at their risk measures, and if it meets all our requirements, these cargo are actually fast tracked. So we have 150 companies today already part of the authorized economic operator, and they can benefit because we have signed an agreement with the UAE and Bahrain that any AEO with us is an AEO for them, and vice versa. We do this not just to facilitate for those companies, but to free our time and our equipment and what have you to monitor the less secure cargo or companies. So that's number one. Number two, as we're facilitating quicker movement, we have agreed with, and this is what we called the multiple border strategy approach. And this is not a customs initiative. This is a cross-government initiative between us, between different government entities, that not everything has to happen at the border geographical location or time. If you capture something in the market, counter goods, fake goods, someone who does not have the right energy card or what have you, pass this information for us. And the next shipment for that particular shipper, we're making everyone fast, but those people, in addition to the penalties they collect from the different agencies within Saudi, we slow the hell out of their cargo at the border. We inspect it thoroughly. It does not fall under this 2-hour clearance program at all. We have 4 lanes out of the targeting center. The 4th is the red lane. Once it goes there, all the KPIs of time are removed. So, and for 6 months, this particular importer is targeted, is heavily investigated until we see that the practice changed, and then we move him back to the yellow lane and then to the green lane. And the green lane is a lane that will be cleared with 0 human intervention.
Inshallah.
Which we have started with some companies.
MashaAllah. So again, picking your point that I would love to know that what is the mechanism to report if you find such kind of malpractice or such kind of thing? How can an individual report this to Saudi Customs?
1918.
1918.
1918, and there are rewards. There are rewards given, and in fact, some of the notifications we got were from employees of the companies that did not feel right that their companies are doing this, and we have protected them against any repercussion because they have informed us on this.
Okay, so everyone who is listening in, who has joined us, and in the future as well, this is a very important part, that 1918 is the number to dial if you think that something is wrong, because as responsible residents and citizens of Saudi Arabia, it is our duty that we need to report any kind of malpractice. And if I may say something, that even if you think and you are not sure, still report it, because reporting is better than being kept silent, because it hurts you and the country. So again, this is a message from my side, that 1918 is the number on which you can dial in and report if you are worried about something and if you find that something is not right. Thank you, Mr. Loy. This was a very important. This was something that I personally also wanted to know. This is very key information.
Excellent.
So now, my next question is a little bit, how would I say? I've been in the kingdom for almost now 10 years, and I've been in the supply chain, handling logistics and everything duty. But one thing that we always come face to face is that if anything gets, stuck or something, that we as expatriates cannot directly approach Saudi customs. And it is that only, our brothers, our locals, they can only approach Saudi customs. To some extent, that is understandable, but I would still like to know that is there any other forum or any other platform in which individuals or professionals in the supply chain logistics industry can interact with Saudi customs?
On a personal capacity or on a company capacity?
On a company capacity, that because whenever on a personal basis, whenever a shipment got stuck or something, there are certain subject matter experts, and then we had to sit down with our PRO or with our colleagues, and we had to explain it, and you cannot transfer the knowledge in one shot, because they were not subject matter experts, and it's they go, they come back, then they go, they come back. So this is where this is one area where I believe that this is also an area that in which joint effort should be done to to improve the system as well.
Well, I can. There are two levels of interactions now. If it's since we are removing all declaration management system from the port to the central clearance house. This eliminates this really need for a GRO or what have you. You can immediately call our call center and discuss your particular shipment. And whether you're an expert in Saudi, there is no impact of that whatsoever. Now, usually, our interactions with the public regarding their public companies or individuals happens through the brokers. And I dare say this, and I say this in front of brokers all the time in our one-on-one meetings. Out of the value chain components, they're still the weakest link, and we can analyze and quickly tell you some brokers, their average clearance time is less than an hour already, without us improving any network, without us improving any process. They have become so good, while the vast majority of them are very small offices that do the basic service. Once it requires any additional approval, they don't know what to do. Once and the engagement is not done properly. This, I think, will have to change. And I've said this again in public forums, although within Saudi Customs this is a hot debate. We have 1,900 brokers. We would like to see that number go down to 300 or so. Well, I said it in the internal meeting. I said I want to see 10 brokers only, just to shock the room. But seriously, we have, if you've noticed in our Twitter account also, we've become much more active in addressing brokers, those who continuously support people. They tell them, you know what, I can fake it for you. It's okay. I've done it all the time. You don't have to submit the original document or what have you. The penalties on brokers are increasing dramatically. Their licenses are being pulled. But also the barrier to entry to that to that world is now becoming higher and higher. We want to elevate the level of brokers, and I imagine in the next few years, life will be very tough on the low and mediocre performers in the broker system, and only professional companies will prevail.
So true. No, I agree with you that your partners, you are as good as your partners. So if your broker is not good, it's not up to the mark, and if they are only capable of handling the straightforward shipments, then they are only good for straightforward shipment. But something which require some more intervention and more understanding, you need a powerhouse. So again, as you said, that
one interesting point. Before the year end, we will have a website launched that have a brokerage performance transparently given to the public. I've seen it. It's not public yet.
I was about to say that there should be a mechanism from Saudi Customs to evaluate the brokers and let the public know. So, mashallah,
Yes.
you asked it even before I asked it.
So two things will be on that website. A, you can pick which port, and it will give you the list of brokers in that port that are approved.
Awesome.
And you can see how many shipments did they clear over the past few months, and in which categories. So if you're trying to import chemicals, maybe you want to go with broker A rather than broker B because he's importing chemicals continuously. But you will also see the average clearance time for that particular broker. So there is a big level of transparency. Finally, and I've seen it with myself, it's a beautiful website. You can actually submit, if he was your broker, you can submit feedback in that website for others to use. Obviously, in Oman, it's not straightforward. A lot of times when brokers do not perform well, they blame customs. So you could have a really poor broker, but you believe it's poor customs. You think the broker has actually, done a great job trying to work around these tough corridors and what have you. So we're trying to create transparency as much as possible, and we're trying to make it easier for good ones to survive and bad ones to get out of the system.
See, again, I agree with you that the perception that has been created that, the delay is happening because of customs. What can I do? The broker, this is the standard statement that over the career I heard from brokers that not in our hand, the customs officer did not come, the inspection officer did not come today. What can I do? They give, and, because we do not have the visibility into the actual operations or what is actually happening, we tend to believe what they are saying because they are our only, our window, our eyes into the Saudi customs, and we are dependent on that. But what you have just defined about the website that you are putting up by the end of the year, inshallah, or early next year, which will define the performance, port-wise of the brokers, how many shipments. I think this would be an eye-opener for everyone, and it would be a challenge for the brokers to actually now improve because they would be naked. Sorry, I do not want to say a word.
Let me also add this. Even in online shopping, and I am one who suffered from online shopping all the time, and you see on their website, big express couriers saying add customs for 5 days. And I know customs very well. We have some issues, but 5 days to a regular shipment is unheard of, unless it is chemicals or from certain cases or what have you. It's unheard of. I know this for a fact. I see the numbers. So when I see at customs for 5 days, I typically call the company, the carrier, and we found out that many cases they say customs are delaying it. And when we go and investigate, we find out that there is because inspection at airports does not happen. We do not, as customs, bring the cargo for inspection. It's the carrier, express carrier company. So they haven't brought it for inspection. So we can't even start inspection unless they bring it. But in their website, they say it's under clearance. There was a case actually that I made a big fuss out of from a very well-known express carrier that said it's with customs for 7 days. When we inspected it, haven't even left the facility in Dubai, so it's not even at the border yet. And we've decided we've already launched. I wish I can remember the link, but I'll try to send it to you, and you can share it in the comments later.
Sure.
We have already launched a website under Fasih, You go in and you put your shipment number under any express carrier, DHL, Aramex, whatever it is. It will show you exactly when did custom receive it and how long did custom take for it, and with the date
This
stamps
is
and what. This is
this is
already
under
running.
the FASA. This is under the FASA system.
Yes, it is under the FASA website. I remember.
Okay.
I forgot the addition. It was launched 2 weeks ago only. Any
Okay.
shipment for any company, just put it there. It will show you whether it's really with customs
Or not.
or not.
No, see, I appreciate, and the transparency really, if things are not transparent or not visible, the performance can never improve. And people hide behind these walls and everything, and these, closed and dark corridors and they try to save their own incompetence and they put it on others. And unfortunately, as I said before, that historically or, by default, customs, not just Saudi customs in general, around the world, customs are the bad guys. They are the one who's taking their sweet time and they are delaying it, and they do, they don't come to work. These are the reasons that I have over and over heard. The inspection officer did not come to work. What can I do? Yes, yeah. It's not in our hands. I go there every day. I'm there, but it's a good thing that these kind of visibilities would really, put the brokers at task as well.
Yeah, and if you allow me, there are 3 points maybe I want to touch base on. I forgot to mention them during the discussion. I think they will be very interesting for the public to know. These are, no one knows about it outside customs world. Huh? So exclusive for Naaman, okay?
Exclusive breaking news.
Breaking news. Number one, in our, I keep saying clearance house because that was the name in the beginning. Now it's called Customs Operations Center. So COC.
Okay.
In our COC, in the past, we used to have different steps after each other. So istiqbal, there is a reception, and then there is restrictions department, valuation department, like 3-4 different departments with different officers handling it. In the COC, each employee that goes in, and we have interviewed 800 people and picked 70 already only so far. So less than 10% acceptance. We have trained each employee to do all the 4 different jobs. So instead of each department sending it to the next for the approval, it is one guy looking at the declaration and reviewing everything and approving it. So that's fundamental change number 1. Now, fundamental change number 2. In the past, you could be clearing in Jeddah Islamic Port chicken, and then the next shipment is ACs, and then the next shipment is metals, gold.
Okay.
COC, there is the system automatically categorizes all HS codes into 5 families, and each group of employees receive only one family as priority. And if there is any pressure on the system, it relieves it to the other groups. But priority is that all metals go to group A, all food and beverage go to group B. What does this create? With time, even without systems, even without targeting center, even without additional training, if you're handling metals day in, day out, you become an expert. So it comes from the values that you should expect. At the end of the year, there are usually discounts from these companies and so on. So you can have this knowledge built. And as far as I know, no one else does it this way. We visited the US, we visited Russia, we visited the UK, we visited Belgium and Holland. I visited all these countries. None of them does it. This was an idea that was given by one of our old employees who was about to retire, as he visited the center, and he told me, Loay, you know what? How about we do it this way? And it was just a brilliant idea. So that's fundamental change number 2. Change number 3, targeting center. Out of it, there will be shipments that are cleared automatically without even going to the COC. So if you're Aramco, if you're SABIC, if it's the same shipment, same weight, same information, same country of origin, same volumes that we're used to seeing, it goes to the targeting center and it's cleared within seconds from you applying in the system. It doesn't even go through any. So the COC can spend time on the more critical elements that require you to review valuations and what have you. The result is as follows. The average clearance time So let me repeat this because we have technically picky people. The mean of clearance time in the in the customs operations center was reduced in 2020 from 80 hours to 1.5. So in the past 1.5 over December and November, the average is 1.5 hours of
So
clearance.
from 18 to 1.5.
80.
80.
Because the starting point was the dry port in Riyadh, where the time starts when the shipment arrives in Dammam and then on the railway and then to Dammam. So it was a particularly longer lead time.
Okay.
But anyways, an hour and a half. But this only includes if it does not require an other government agency approval. So if it requires SFDA or SABR or whatever, this is still not under our control, but we're working on it. And it does not include, if it requires manual inspection, then it also does not. It's not within the 1.5 hours mean calculation. Also, COC transfer into manual inspection is 26%, whereas the rest of customs at 45%. So even manual inspection coming out of COC is less than the rest of customs. Already 25% are within the COC, and the remainder within the next month or month and a half. So I'm very optimistic about the 2-hour commitment that I gave earlier.
Inshallah. No, this is exceptional. You're talking about only 2020, right?
Absolutely.
So
yes.
From an 80 hours window to a 1.5, this is a beautiful case study for a Kaizen topic, continuous improvement. How this is an excellent. We should be studying.
Yeah. Funny enough, the company that helped us with this is based on a Kaizen methodology approach. It was absolutely a Kaizen approach. It's the 4 principles of leadership.
Great. No, this is excellent. This is, the 3 steps, the 3 things that you mentioned, the COC, making experts within your organization who are handling, block A or group A, group B, group C kind of a shipments, and then targeting centers. Now, coming to the targeting centers, I have a question linked to it, that you mentioned there are right now total of 150 companies who are part of your, your group, which are treated because they have standard shipments and coming, and you have inspected their systems and their shipment, everything, and they go through a fast track process. So what is the mechanism? Saudi Customs is selecting those companies who can be part of this, or any company can contact Saudi Customs to be part of this group?
Any company can apply. The priority goes to those with higher volumes, because the process takes about 6 months. It's actually very robust. We go, we inspect their facility, we monitor for a while, and so on and so forth. So if someone only imports 3-4 times a year, goes at a lower priority. But all the companies have applied. I think so far 300 companies applied. We finished 150 based on priority volumes, and we're going to continue to do so. And they have a KPI to increase the number on an annual basis. So next year they have another 100 to add as far as KPI is concerned.
Okay. And what is the mechanism to apply for this? If someone asks me that after this,
go to our website. There is AEO, Authorized Economic Operator. There is a link for it. You can go with it and apply.
Okay, fine. Perfect. I am learning a lot today from you. So
well, I'm happy to be engaging with the public.
Yes. Now coming, the questions from my side, there are a few questions that they were asked by the peers, and I will share those 3 questions right now. One is, let me find it. Okay, this is a question. Now we are going to operational topics. So if this is for you, that what are the standards and mechanism of transferring inbound shipments from automated inspection to manual inspection? So this was asked by a good friend of mine, Ms. Shahida Mamushi is the regional manager for East and West Express for ADCO.
Yeah, I hope I understood the question correctly. But there are, in general, three channels to a manual inspection. Each cargo that comes in Saudi Arabia, it is X-rayed as it enters the country. As the moment it leaves the ship, it goes into an X-ray. 100% is X-rayed. If an X-ray flags a shipment, it automatically goes into manual inspection, regardless of what COC officer says or targeting center says. The targeting center also has the authority. There are four pathways out of the targeting center, one of which is manual inspection, regardless of what the COC does. So the algorithm, the risk-based system, spits out these shipments to be inspected, regardless of the requirements. Now, the targeting center works based on a risk-based risk engine, but also all tips we get are channeled through there, because we don't want visibility over that there's a tip about this or what have you. So it goes into that system and spits out part of 100 other containers. You don't know that we actually have a keen eye on a particular one. So that's channel number two. And channel number three is that the medium risk shipments that are spit out of the targeting center go to the COC, and the COC reviews it. If they deem it necessary to manually inspect, they will ask for a manual inspection. Otherwise, they would just clear it or ask the broker to change the HS code or to change the valuation if there is no need to inspection. So three different channels that lead to a manual inspection. And if you want to dig into that, we look into a bunch of things. Honestly, as Saudi customs, let me be very frank. When it comes to drugs, when it comes to weapons, and we have robust experience with that, we're very meticulous. When it comes to valuation, when it comes to HS code, the right HS code, whether it's two different HS codes or one, we are thorough, but not as thorough. And we work with our counterparts in the private sector or our counterparts in the other government agencies that these things as they slip. If you find something in the market, let us know, and we'll target them instead of just stopping everyone and trying to inspect everything.
Okay.
I hope this answers the question.
Yeah, this answers me, and I have also noted it down for future reference. Now, this is again an operational question, that why companies, this is a good question, why companies cannot claim storage fees for LCL shipment, considering that the delivery order is received after free time from co-loaders? Is there any solution to solve this issue?
So
it's a very typical problem.
Yeah, but help me understand it. So freight forwarders want to claim those fees, or
the companies, or exactly the freight forwarders, that an LCS shipment is coming. So unless or until the whole shipment is disembarked or destuffed, then only the delivery order would be issued. But the container has been there for some days, so obviously the.
Okay, I don't have an answer honestly for that. I'd be lying if I said, although I worked in LogicPoint and I have an opinion about it, a personal one. But as far as Saudi customs is concerned, I don't have an answer for that, unfortunately.
Okay, fine. So maybe this might be something for a future Kaizen topic.
Yeah, and let me be also frank. LCL shipment altogether needs to be revamped a little bit. There is a perverse incentive for freight forwarders to actually not be very quick in some cases, and they collect more money in storage fees.
Yeah,
there's evidence of that as well. And I think this whole sector requires a second look of how we handle LCL shipments in general.
So maybe in your
very straight shoot.
The transparency website for the brokers and these things, the freight forwarders, maybe if there's a segregation of the clearance time for FCL and also for LCL, that could also bring to light a lot of things, that what is happening.
Yes, well, absolutely. I don't think we have given LCL enough light shed, honestly. In Saudi customs, most of our initiatives are for the FCL or the express cargo, which is increasing, the e-commerce and what have you. But the LCL has always, been a second priority, although it's always there. There is a team working on it with the bonded zones and with the different facilities in different ports.
So true. See, I will share a comment with you. This is from one Mr. Adil, and he agrees to what we were discussing, that unfortunately for most of the companies, customs and clearance is a black box area. They are relying 100% on brokers to manage relationship with customs. So,
yeah.
So listen, maybe this would also revamp and change with the transparency coming in.
But also, let me say this: a lot of brokers are great. A lot of brokers are great. However, the top 5 clearing companies in Saudi Arabia, none of them use brokers.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if your company is importing the same type of cargo continuously, consider sending one of your employees or two to our training center and getting the certificate, and he will be clearing for you. You'll have full transparency. And if it's the same type of cargo, you will not be lost in which HS code to use or what have you. You'll just learn it and then just apply it day in, day out. It's a much faster way. Brokers are good for SMEs that require different HS codes that they don't know how to handle an HS code, or for big companies that don't want, they outsource their complete supply chain. That's understandable as well. But consider this, try it out, send your employee, let them get his certificate, and you will see the difference.
Let me reiterate what you just said. That so companies listening in that who are relying too much on the brokers, and where you are dealing with big volumes, and I know a lot of multinationals, they completely rely on brokers. So I think what Mr. Loay is giving an opportunity, the Saudi Customs has a training facility in which you can send your employee to get trained in the system, and instead of relying on the broker, you are actually handling the brokerage topic yourself in-house. So you are in control. You have a direct connection with the Saudi Customs, and everything is going smooth. So remove the middleman wherever it is possible.
Yes, and let me add this. I know brokers hate me, but it's okay. I can live with it. Some of them were very supportive of 70% of the broker visits to Jeddah Islamic Port are not necessary. So brokers are used to just sending people and what have you, whereas it's just on the system, it doesn't need all of this. So there's a lot of any redundancy and extra work that is not needed.
Perfect. So I'll share a comment here. This is from Mr. Zafar. He is with Tika, if you know the company. So thank you, Mr. Zafar, for your comment. So now I have we have one question. Do we here? Here, this is from Mr. Nadeem. He is, if I'm not mistaken, he is head of sales, yes, for Middle East Global Pallets Company. From Mr. Nadeem, do we really require a certificate of origin or made in declaration letter to clear shipments for re-exportable products?
Well, I don't have a very good answer for this. I can check it up and go back, but I can tell you this. A big issue we have with many free zones and bonded zones across the globe with regards to re-export is that these zones, the hit rate of malicious activity in these zones are significantly higher than the hit rate of any other typical port. So I imagine there is a reason why this is asked for, and it could be within that realm. But I'd be lying if I said I've ever looked at this. There is a trade facilitation deputyship that usually handles these, and I'm unaware of if this is actually required or not. I'll take Nadeem's word for it.
Okay, fine. So another question. This is from Ahmad Akram. Is there a plan to increase HS code line items as grouping now is very general?
Well, Ahmed, there's I think it's an Arabic hadith. I think لا تسألوا عن أشياء إن تبد لكم تسؤكم. Or in other words, I am trying to reduce HS codes, not increase them. because we have 12 digits in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Most of the world is between 10 and 8. And this makes it difficult for a broker to find out which one, and this makes it difficult for a Saudi customs to know which one. Fish coming into Saudi Arabia, if it's Najil, it's different than Harit. It's a very confusing system sometimes. We have worked on reducing HS codes and just trying to combine them into ones. I've actually, and I shouldn't be saying this out loud, I've actually pushed back because reducing HS codes might lead to us losing about 1 or 2% of our revenues, because some of the deviations we have are to cater for particular higher tariff. But I have pushed, and I continue to push, that we reduce HS codes and we group things together and we we match most of the logistic hubs around the world to become simpler. The more questions you ask, we'll give you more answers. We can make this a 100-digit code and you will never be satisfied. MashaAllah, the world is developing new technologies and new equipment every day. And it's very difficult to sometimes pick the right code. Is this really electronic or is it what? There's so many things into it now.
Totally agree. And I also agree with your point of view that, simplification should be there. Because what happens is that I'm going through the HS code list. I'm trying to find, because I'm importing something and the supplier is asking which HS code to put in. And I select, to the best of my knowledge, I discuss with my broker as well, and we select an HS code and we send it. All the documentation are done on that HS code. But when it arrives onto the customs, over there, the customs officer says, no, this is not the right HS code. It should be this one. Because the understanding of the definition or the description is different for everyone, because they are so overlapping sometimes that it becomes confusion, and that creates because definition changes and everything.
I've actually been a part of this study, and it's actually very funny. You see, even within Saudi customs, different officers, experienced ones, argue about a certain HS code. I would see the correspondence back and forth. No, this is this is that, and I would come in and say, do they have different tariffs or different regulations? They say no. Then why are we doing all of this? At least if there is a different tariff, I understand. At least there's more or less to be made. But I am personally, because different people have different opinions. Personally, I am an advocate: less code, less complication, rather than more.
You have my support on this, definitely. I will move now to a question which came from someone from UAE. It was sent to me, and this was regarding the FASA. Actually, this gentleman is part of IFCO group, if I'm not mistaken. He's the logistics officer over there in UAE. The question was regarding FASA appointments. UAE-based transporters are unable to book appointments directly. They have to submit the documents to the clearing agent, and they will book the appointment. Let me complete. I don't know why the full question is. Let me read it out. The clearing agent, and they will book the appointment for which they charge the company. So the clearing agent is charging the companies for booking the appointments. When will it be possible for UAE-based transporters to use FASA platform directly and not be reliant on the middleman, on the clearing agent?
Very good question. I am now acting deputy of IT. So I have full access to Tabadul and its FASH platform. The team there is actually very supportive, but we recognize there are so many challenges, technical challenges with FASH that they're working on. And I'm personally involved in daily meetings now with Tabadul to address some of these things. Pass this question to me, and I will look it up. I am unaware of what is the process. I know it's a new system that we've launched, and if there is a way, if there is a justification, if it's a good one, then fine. If it's not good, we can easily open it up.
I will send you this question by email.
Challenge. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Now, coming to this is from Umar Al Farouk. He's with Hellman Logistics. Fine. He recently joined Hellman Logistics. I think he's the head of business development over there. So, good comment. Many things got cleared about the processes, and happy to learn that new interactive website going to be launched. Fine. And yes. So, next comment is amazing discussion. Okay, this is from a young chap. he's asking yet why the job requirement is super challenging for a fresh graduate in the logistics field. Yeah, sir, matlab logistics supply chain management graduate. So you need to help them out.
Hey, wallah, shoof, I'm actually not a supply chain, although I've worked in LogiPoint and I've in Saudi customs. I'm not supply chain is actually a very big field. I think it's very interesting, and I think many of the big changes in industries will happen in the supply chain. I think many of the jobs today will be redundant in the next only 5 years across supply chain in general. Even in Saudi customs, we are worried that a lot of the things we're working on today will be irrelevant just a few years down the road. We're seeing e-commerce increase in multiple folds every year. Are we ready as far as infrastructure? And it's much more difficult to inspect e-commerce than to inspect a container with a proper company. So I think it's a very sexy field to be in. A lot of R&D to be done. A lot of innovation still there to be done. We have just launched, or actually not yet, but these weeks we're launching the innovation department, which is a department that will only look into different ways, including using drones, including using artificial intelligence, including using blockchain and what have you, to try to cope with a very rapidly evolving industry, to be honest.
No, I agree with you. And as I mentioned earlier in our talk as well, just yesterday I was in a meeting with someone. He was the founder of that. It's basically what they have done, the product or the service that they are bringing in. I will share it later once my discussion with them are finalized. Is that they have created a complete disruption in the whole logistics, and what they are targeting is on a global level to implement or to launch what they are doing. And it is what yesterday I saw. It was a end-to-end disruption. Bringing in the new norm, not the COVID norm, but changing how we think about logistics. And as you said, the Kaizen process from 80 hours to 1.5 hours. What they are doing is also at a click of you just click and you have the whole logistics chain in front of you for anything that you want. So that is also something exciting. And hopefully we are in talks how to bring that into Saudi Arabia as well. And I will, as time allows, we'll share that with you as well.
I think I want to give you a few more exclusives, Naman. How about that?
Sure.
Like now, Saudi Arabia as a country is changing the way it's addressing logistics. There is the logistics committee head by the Minister of Transport with membership of GACA, Mawane, Customs, the General Transportation Authority, and so on and so forth. There is the NIDLIP program. And in the next year alone, 3 free zones will be opened. I don't think they're announced yet, but very soon they will be announced. 3 free zones will be opened. The challenge number 2 that people faced is that when it comes to logistics in Saudi Arabia, there are multiple people that you have to engage with, multiple government agencies. CITC is after the last mile delivery and what have you. GTA is for heavy transport, customs when it comes to clearance. No, we're working on having a one front meet the logistic players, 3PL players that want, instead of issuing multiple licenses, you can have a CR that says 3PL. 3PL does not necessarily mean that you have trucks. 3PL does not necessarily mean that you have technology, but it could be a multiplication of things. There is a new deputyship being established at the Ministry of Transport. It's called the Logistics Deputyship, with a single task to bring about these ideas of unifying front with the private sector under one umbrella. This umbrella could be a different body later on, or it could be part of MOT. It's not decided yet, but this is in the works.
Okay. Okay. Your voice broke away. Sorry. Sorry. That is excellent. The insights and I'm enjoying the exclusive, I feel honored that on this platform, a lot of people, and getting this comment. I don't know if you know him, Peter Sparwater. He is the CEO of Hala Supply Chain.
Inshallah.
MashaAllah. So thank you, Mr. Peter. I'm actually also happy to have you, watching our live talk. So, Mr. Loay, I think it was an exciting discussion that we had, and a lot of insights and a lot of knowledge that was gained. And believe me, I was not expecting to that extent that Saudi Customs is working on technology, on infrastructure, changing how we handle shipments, the improvement of clearance times and all. So this was definitely an eye-opener, an exciting discussion, and I thank you for your time and your inputs. So, and it was a pleasure and an honor to have you as guest on this talk.
The honor is all mine. It's part of our duty to reach out actually to the. We're here to serve, and we're very happy to actually engage in such forums. Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Thank you again. And this now we conclude our live webinar. Thank you everyone for joining in. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. It's Maghrib time already, so now time for prayers. Thank you. Bye bye.